After the chaos faded, only heartbreak remained. An honor roll student was dead. Not a robbery. Not a random act. Jazmyn Kye Bill was killed doing what she always did, helping a friend in trouble. The scene was chaos.
This me packing my bag, put my computer in there. Y'all see I go to the Prairie View A&M University, period. Best HBCU in Texas.
3 people bleeding, 2 suspects fleeing, and one 21-year-old woman who would never see her senior year.
I'm tired of seeing it. I'm really tired of seeing it. It don't make sense. We keep shooting and killing our children and killing our young women.
She wasn't just a student. She was the kind of daughter every parent dreams of, the kind of friend you pray to have. But here's the twist. 8 months later, when the arrest finally came, detectives uncovered something that made even seasoned cops sick. A betrayal. So cold it would make your skin crawl.
It was a wild scene, but we got everything under control.
The friend Jazmyn died protecting? They made a choice that turned tragedy into something much darker. This wasn't a stranger. This was someone who stood there, who saw it all, who knew every detail of what happened when those 10 shots rang out, and when it mattered most, when it was time to stand up for a friend who gave her life. They didn't. This isn't just another shooting. This is what happens when good people step into bad situations, and the person you save becomes the one who destroys you. Prairie View Police Chief Wilton White called it a wasted life for no reason. But once you hear what really happened, you'll realize there was a reason, just not the one anyone expected.
We have a wasted life for no reason, and I don't know when it's going to stop or when it's going to end or what it's going to take to end.
Stay tuned as we reveal everything about this case. Drop a comment and let me know what you think about this story. Please like this video, share and subscribe to this channel to help raise awareness and spread caution. Let's begin.
Prairie View A&M student is dead and 3 other people are hurt after a shooting at an apartment complex right near campus.
Police are calling this a domestic disturbance at off-campus housing, and there are a lot of moving pieces to this at this hour.
At 21 years old, Jazmyn Bill had already established herself as someone her friends could count on, someone who wouldn't turn her back when things got difficult. Her roommate and close friend, Tamia Thibeaux, had become like family to Jazmyn. The 2 young women shared the typical college experience of studying together, navigating campus life, and supporting each other through the challenges that come with pursuing higher education. Their friendship appeared genuine and strong, built on a kind of trust that develops when people live together and depend on each other. But Tamia was dealing with something that Jazmyn found increasingly concerning. Her relationship with Courtlynn Thomas had become a source of constant worry. The relationship exhibited classic warning signs of domestic abuse. Controlling behavior, isolation from friends and family, and escalating conflicts that seemed to be growing more frequent and intense. Jazmyn watched her friend struggle with a relationship that seemed to cause more pain than joy. She witnessed the aftermath of arguments, saw unexplained injuries, and heard excuses that didn't quite add up. Like many friends of abuse victims, Jazmyn faced the frustrating reality that she couldn't force Tamia to leave. She could only offer support and hope her friend would eventually recognize the danger. The controlling behavior that characterizes abusive relationships was evident in Courtlynn Thomas's interactions with Tamia. Abusers typically work to isolate their victims from support systems, making them dependent and less likely to seek help. They create a cycle of abuse followed by apology and promises to change, keeping their victims emotionally invested despite the harm being caused. For Jazmyn, watching this dynamic was undoubtedly painful and frustrating. She cared deeply about Tamia's safety, but she also understood that pushing too hard might drive her friend away entirely. This delicate balance, offering support without judgment while maintaining hope that the victim will eventually seek safety, represents one of the most difficult aspects of supporting someone in an abusive relationship. The abuse that Tamia experienced likely escalated over time, following the typical pattern where control and behavior gradually becomes more serious and dangerous. What might start as excessive jealousy or demands for constant communication often progresses to threats, physical violence, and complete control over the victim's daily activities and relationships. Jazmyn's position as a witness to this abuse placed her in a precarious situation. She knew enough about the relationship to be concerned, but But she may not have understood the full extent of the danger that Courtlynn Thomas represented. Many people who try to help friends escape abusive relationships underestimate the lengths to which abusers will go to maintain control, including violence against anyone who threatens their dominance. The friendship between Jazmyn and Tamia was tested by the presence of an abuser who saw Jazmyn's influence as a threat to his control. Abusers often target the support systems of their victims, working to eliminate relationships that might encourage their victims to leave or seek help. Jazmyn's close relationship with Tamia made her a natural enemy of someone determined to maintain complete power over Tamia's life. The off-campus housing at the gates of Prairie View provided a setting where domestic violence could occur away from the oversight of campus officials. While off-campus living offers independence and privacy that many college students value, it can also create situations where abuse occurs without the intervention systems that might exist in dormitory settings. As the abuse in Tamia's relationship escalated, Jazmyn found herself increasingly concerned about her friend's safety. The decision to intervene when she witnessed violence wasn't unusual for someone with Jazmyn's character. She was the type of person who couldn't stand by and watch someone she cared about being harmed. The morning of June 15th, 2023, Jazmyn Bill encountered her friend in a physical altercation with her boyfriend in the complex's parking lot and tried to intervene. The violence that Jazmyn witnessed wasn't just a verbal argument. This was physical abuse happening in real time, with Tamia being assaulted by Courtlynn Thomas. Understanding that the situation required more help, Jazmyn got her boyfriend, an off-duty security guard, to help, but an argument ensued between him and the friend's boyfriend, escalating the situation. His training and experience in dealing with conflicts should have made him better equipped to handle the volatile situation developing in the parking lot. Instead, the presence of another man created a new dynamic that Courtlynn Thomas viewed as a direct challenge to his control. Rather than backing down when confronted by someone trained to handle conflicts, Thomas escalated the situation beyond anyone's expectations. The argument between Jazmyn's boyfriend and Courtlynn Thomas reached a deadly turning point. The man accused of assaulting his girlfriend pulled out a gun and opened fire, hitting the off-duty security guard in the buttocks.
We don't know who fired which shots. The friend came outside to try to help diffuse the situation. Things got heated. That friend went to get her boyfriend, come outside. The males were talking. Things continued to get heated again, and then that's when shots were fired.
The introduction of firearms into an already volatile situation guaranteed that someone would be seriously hurt or killed. The security guard's response to being shot was to defend himself and the others present. Investigators said the victim's boyfriend also pulled out a weapon and fired back, hitting the other man in the chest. The parking lot had become a war zone where two armed men were exchanging gunfire while innocent people scrambled for cover. In situations involving gunfire between multiple people, controlling where bullets go becomes impossible. The parking lot at the gates of Prairie View had become exactly the kind of environment where stray bullets claim innocent lives. One of those stray bullets hit Bill, who was pronounced dead at the scene. The young woman who had tried to help her friend escape violence became the victim of that very violence, struck down while attempting to do what she believed was right. The randomness of Jazmyn's death makes it particularly tragic. She hadn't chosen to be part of the confrontation between the two men. She had simply tried to help her friend and found herself in the wrong place when gunfire erupted. A bullet also grazed an unidentified person who was not involved in the shooting. Emergency responders arriving at the scene found multiple victims, requiring immediate medical attention. All three people who survived their injuries were taken to the hospital. The hospital became an extension of the crime scene as medical staff worked to save lives and treat wounds ranging from serious to critical. But the most shocking development was still to come. As investigators worked to understand exactly what had happened, they discovered that two key figures in the case had fled together. Investigators said two suspects fled the scene before police arrived at the Bucky's on Highway 290, about 8 miles away, but were detained shortly after. The fact that Tamia Thibeaux and Courtlynn Thomas had fled together would prove to be one of the most painful aspects of the case for Jazmyn's family. The young woman who had died trying to protect her friend was being betrayed even as her body lay in the parking lot where she had made her final sacrifice. What do you think drives someone to flee after witnessing such violence, especially when a friend has just been killed trying to help them? Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between self-preservation and doing what's right? Share your thoughts in the comments. These moral dilemmas are more common than we might want to admit. When police caught up with the fleeing pair, they found Tamia supporting the man who had just killed her best friend. The psychological complexity of domestic abuse was on full display. Even witnessing the murder of someone who tried to help wasn't enough to break Tamia's connection to her abuser. During this investigation period, Tamia's support for Courtlynn Thomas became a central obstacle to achieving justice for Jazmyn. Rather than providing testimony that might help convict her friend's killer, Tamia aligned herself with Thomas's version of events, supporting his claim of self-defense. The self-defense narrative represented a fundamental distortion of what had actually occurred. Courtlynn Thomas had been physically abusing Tamia when Jazmyn intervened. He had escalated the situation by pulling out a firearm and shooting first. Yet Tamia's loyalty to her abuser was so complete that she was willing to help him avoid responsibility for killing the person who had tried to save her. This betrayal added immeasurable pain to the grief experienced by Jazmyn's family and friends. They had not only lost someone they loved to senseless violence, but they had to watch as the beneficiary of her sacrifice worked to protect her killer from facing justice. The case remained essentially cold for an extended period while investigators worked to build a solid case against Thomas despite the lack of cooperation from key witnesses. The technical aspects of the investigation continued, but without witness testimony supporting the prosecution's theory of events, moving forward with charges proved challenging. Eventually, the investigation reached a point where prosecutors felt confident enough in their evidence to move forward with charges. According to police, Courtlynn Thomas is charged with murder, and the other suspect involved, identified as Tamia Thibeaux, is facing a tampering with evidence charge. The charges filed against Thomas reflected the prosecution's belief that he was responsible for Jazmyn's death, despite the complexity of the crime scene and the presence of multiple shooters. The murder charge indicated that investigators had determined his actions directly caused Jazmyn's death rather than treating it as an accidental result of justified self-defense. The investigation also revealed Tamia's active role in obstructing justice for her dead friend. The tampering with evidence charge acknowledges that Tamia had actively worked to interfere with the investigation, likely by supporting false narratives or withholding crucial information about what had really happened that morning. The tampering charge represents legal recognition that Tamia's betrayal of Jazmyn extended beyond emotional disloyalty to actual criminal behavior. She hadn't just failed to support her dead friend. She had actively worked to help her killer escape justice. Thomas's bond was set at $500,000, while Thibeaux's was set at $5,000. The hundredfold difference reflects a distinction between murder versus tampering charges, but also acknowledges the different roles they played in both the original crime and its cover-up. The legal proceedings against Courtlynn Thomas and Tamia Thibeaux represent more than just punishment for specific crimes. They reflect society's response to domestic violence and the tragic consequences when intervention efforts go wrong. The charges filed demonstrate that the justice system recognizes both the primary responsibility of the killer and the secondary culpability of those who help cover up crimes. The murder charge against Thomas carries a potential for life imprisonment under Texas law. The circumstances of Jazmyn's death, killed while trying to help someone escape domestic violence, could serve as an aggravating factor during sentencing. The fact that an innocent college student died because of his decision to escalate a domestic dispute with gunfire represents exactly the kind of case that warrants the most serious penalties available. The tampering with evidence charge against Tamia Thibeaux acknowledges that her betrayal of Jazmyn had legal consequences beyond the emotional damage it caused. By supporting false narratives and potentially withholding information, she actively interfered with efforts to achieve justice for her dead friend. Her actions demonstrate how domestic abuse victims can become accomplices to crimes committed by their abusers. But this case offers crucial lessons that extend far beyond the legal consequences faced by the defendants. Jazmyn's death highlights the real dangers faced by people who intervene in domestic violence situations. While intervention can save lives, it can also put the intervener at serious risk, especially when abusers are willing to use weapons to maintain control. The betrayal by Tamia Thibeaux illustrates one of the most heartbreaking aspects of domestic abuse: the psychological control that abusers maintain over their victims even after committing horrific acts. The fact that witnessing her friend's murder wasn't enough to break Tamia's loyalty to Thomas demonstrates the powerful manipulation tactics that characterize abusive relationships. This case forces us to examine our own assumptions about friendship, loyalty, and moral obligation. Jazmyn believed that true friendship meant risking personal safety to protect someone she cared about. Her willingness to intervene, even knowing the danger, represents a kind of moral courage that society needs more of, not less. The tragedy that claimed Jazmyn Bill's life serves as a stark reminder of the real dangers faced by people who try to help others escape domestic violence. Her death represents not just the loss of a promising young woman, but the destruction of the moral courage that our communities desperately need. Jazmyn died doing what she believed was right, protecting someone she loved from harm. Her willingness to risk her own safety to help Tamia Thibeaux escape abuse represents the best of human nature, the kind of selfless friendship that should be celebrated and honored. Instead, her loyalty was repaid with betrayal by the very person she died trying to save. The case continues to work its way through the Texas court system, with the charges against both Courtlynn Thomas and Tamia Thibeaux reflecting the different ways they contributed to this tragedy. While the legal process continues, the Prairie View A&M community continues to grapple with the loss of someone who embodied the values of sisterhood and mutual support. The betrayal by Tamia Thibeaux adds a layer of pain that extends beyond the immediate tragedy. Jazmyn's family and friends must cope not only with their loss, but with the knowledge that her sacrifice was rejected by the person who benefited from it. This betrayal transforms grief into something more complex and difficult to process. If this case has affected you, or if you're dealing with domestic violence concerns, please know that resources are available. The Houston Area Women's Center 24/7 hotline at 713-528-2121 or ADA at 713-224-9911 provide confidential support, and local organizations across the country offer assistance to those in crisis. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our investigations into cases that have shocked communities across America. Jazmyn Bill's legacy should be one of friendship, courage, and moral conviction. Her willingness to risk everything for someone she loved represents the kind of person we should all strive to be. The fact that her sacrifice was met with betrayal doesn't diminish its value. It only makes her courage more remarkable and her loss more profound. Until then, stay safe, look out for your friends, and remember that helping someone escape abuse requires wisdom as well as courage. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next episode.